giving him is Neha Junjunwala, who is the head of digital product and strategic initiatives at Times Pro. And we're going to have a very interesting format today. First, we'll have Rahul's presentation, followed by very quick five-star chat with Neha, and followed by the question and answer session from the participants. And before we hand over the floor to both of them, let me have the pleasure of introducing both of our guests today. Rahul Singh is Vice President and Head of Marketing for SAP Indian Subcontinent. As part of the executive leadership team, he's responsible for contributing to SAP's business in the market unit by leading the market function to build the SAP brand, generate quality demand, and drive customer success, working closely with the broader ecosystem in the market unit and in the APJ region. His experience as a full stack marketing leader includes product and brand management, digital demand generation programs, media and analyst relations, and channels and ecosystem marketing. Rahul has been a media spokesperson for over a decade during his career at HCL, AMD, and HP, and has been a speaker at several industry events. He has been featured in cover stories in marquee publications such as Times of India, The Strategist from Business Standard, and the ET's Brand Equity, and a whole host of industry publications. And he also has been a winner of multiple accolades and awards throughout his career. He was rated the most admired marketer and the most agile marketer in the SAP APJ region in 2019, and was acknowledged as the best marketer in the SAP APJ region in 2020. In 2022, he was awarded the coveted the Tech Marketer of the Year by recognition by the Economic Times, and was the winner of the prestigious SAP APJ President's Award. Welcome to this 60-second Leadership News lecture, Rahul. And let me also have the pleasure of introducing today's other guest, Mrs. Neha Junjunwala. With over 10 years of experience in the tech domain, Neha is set to expand the bouquet of digital-led products and solutions at Times Pro. She explores and implements strategic initiatives designed to future-proof and grow the business. She has launched several products and services to build a strong digital presence for Times Pro. In addition, she has been extremely versatile in adapting and leading various roles across finance, marketing, strategy, and tech streams at Times Pro. It is her 360-degree approach towards the business and her acumen in the tech that has immensely contributed to Times Pro growth story. Having done her BA in Electronics and Telecommunication and an MBA in Finance, and also in Financial Risk Management from GARP, the Global Association of Risk Professionals Institute, United States. Neha has 12 plus years of experience, includes stints at Deutsche Bank, Go Air, and Villa EduTech. And with this, let me have the pleasure of handing over the platform to Rahul, followed by Neha, and then followed by all the participants. Thank you so much, and over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary, and the rest of the team for giving me this opportunity. First of all, a very good evening to all of you who are you've taken time out on a Saturday to attend this. I'm sure you had better things to do on a weekend. So thank you so much for joining. As would have become evident from my introduction, which is, I think, quite extravagant, Dr. Chaudhary, most of my experience of over 2.5 decades has largely been in marketing, and that too in B2B technology marketing. I started my career with HCL. At that time, it was called HCL HP, and then became HCL Infosystems. I also had the privilege of working for AMD after that, and then I've had stints in HP and Dell, and I've been in SAP for close to about 6 years in my current stint, but this is my second stint. So both stints put together, I've spent almost a decade in SAP. So given that I started my career in the mid 90s, I have had the privilege of having a ringside view to the amazing evolution that India has seen. Especially I remember the arrival of the internet in the mid 90s, which was a major revolution, and then later towards the end of the millennium, we had the mobile phones coming in, right, which was another huge game changer for India. I still remember we have I think only 1% of Indians ever got access to landline phones. And here we are today when we have over a billion mobile subscribers in the country. So that was a huge change. And then, of course, we are in the midst of another great revolution, which is the cloud revolution, right? Which is fundamentally redefining the way software is delivered and consumed, both to consumers as well as business users. So I think this is going to be a huge game changer as well, both in terms of the opportunities that it can create for India. Also, it will be a great leveler for let's say mid-sized companies, because they will have access to the same technology that larger companies use. So clearly, and the same opportunity to innovate and optimize their business processes. So I think we are in a great time. What I thought I would do is to spend the next 20, maybe 25 minutes just giving you, trying not to give you any esoteric gyan, but the fact, because of the fact that I've spent this long in tech marketing, B2B tech marketing for so long, some of my learnings, and also to kind of demystify some aspects of business to business marketing and how it has evolved over the years. Okay. But before that, I thought I'll just spend a minute, give you an overview of who we are as a company, because that's important to understand. It will also give you a sense of how complex our business is, and consequently how complex marketing in our kind of business is. Okay, so SAP is basically a global leader in enterprise software. We've been in existence for over 50 years. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary. We have been present in India for about 27 years. So in 2021, we celebrated a silver jubilee in the market. We have over 15,000 customers in the country today, and over 14,000 employees, which includes the employees in SAP Labs, which, by the way, the labs in India is the second largest development center for SAP worldwide. So a lot of cutting edge product development actually happens out of India as far as SAP is concerned. And also, the last point that you see is important to note. In the last 2.5, 3 years, we have seen phenomenal growth in the India business, which is a great sign, because enterprise software is actually a leading indicator for how the economy is performing and how the confidence of the market is, right? So from that, in that sense, it's a great indicator that India is on a long-term growth path, and they're actually investing in technology because they're optimistic about their future. Just to give you a sense of what we bring to the market, of course, our bread and butter for many, many years, and we have been a dominant player in the ERP space with a significantly high market share, and so that really is the core piece of software that we deliver to companies. Besides that, of course, supply chain, which is tied closely to the ERP product. And then over the years, we built a very strong portfolio of cloud applications around customer experience, human experience, procurement, and spend management, etc. I thought I would mention this because if you look at it from a marketer's perspective, each of these solution areas are sold to very different personas within companies, right? So when you look at it from a marketer's perspective, human experience is basically HR solutions on the cloud, from hire to retire kind of solutions. Those are actually the first port of call in any company is the CHRO or the head of HR, which is a very different persona from, let's say, when you are selling customer experience solutions, which is sold to the front office leaders like the CMOs and the heads of sales and heads of service, heads of customer experience, etc. So that makes our job very, very complex, because each of these is is a very unique buyer journey altogether. Okay. And of course, we have our own development platform, which we call the SAP Business Technology Platform, which our customers use to build extensions onto their for their applications, create microservices, etc. And the last one, of course, SAP has been really strong, and our success has been built in our because of our deep domain knowledge in 25 odd industries. So there is a whole host of customized solutions for multiple industries, and and a new addition to our portfolio is our sustainability solutions, which is extremely important given that India is already the one of the largest emitters of dioxide, and a lot of that emission actually comes from businesses. And given that SAP has been in the business of optimizing the business processes, sustainability solutions which allow companies to actually measure, monitor, improve, and reduce their carbon footprints across the every step of the value chain, makes us a natural player in that space. Okay, let me move on. Well, B2B marketing, the biggest challenge with B2B marketing is that it's very difficult to establish cause-effect relationship between what you do in terms of execution and the outcomes. Okay, but very simply put, I think I've seen this evolution happen. You can distill the top KPIs that B2B marketers carry today into these three. Number one is to build brand and reputation for your company or for your products. And of course, there are two parts to it. One is salience, which obviously means how good the recall of your brand is. And remember, in the context of what I just mentioned, while SAP ERP as a brand has a huge amount of salience in the business community, but when we go and sell our HR solutions, you are starting from zero all over again, right? Because while you have salience of SAP as a brand, but there is not enough salience in that organization for your HR product brand. Okay, so that is clearly one of the challenges that we face. And relevance essentially means how relevant customer, while you're respected as a brand, because we've been in business with the largest of companies for more than 2 decades in the country. Relevance is, are we being invited to the table for some of the future forward-looking initiatives that the companies are taking? Okay, so those two aspects need to be addressed. So that's one of our KPIs. The second one, and probably the single most important one, is the revenue impact that marketing is required to create in B2B marketing, which is probably more pronounced in B2B tech as compared to consumer marketing. So clearly, in my opinion, this is the single most important metric for B2B marketing. And the third one is customer success. Since everything that is being sold today in the enterprise software space is delivered on the cloud and consumed on the cloud, and the exit barriers for customers have become much smaller, right? So retention has become a primary KPI for businesses, which basically means you have to kind of accompany the customer at every step of their journey, right from from the project kickoff all through the implementation of the solution, and then ensuring all the metrics that were promised are delivered, essentially ensuring that the customer is successful and gets the value that was promised. So I think those are the three most important KPIs that B2B marketers carry today. Like I mentioned, this clearly is important, but I also want to give you a certain context to how marketing has evolved over the past decade or so. where performance marketing seems to have taken a huge precedence over, over building a brand with a purpose, and the brand narrative itself has become very diluted, because the focus really, and also with a lot of these startups and digital native businesses that exist. Clearly, the focus has moved to delivering quick ROI from your marketing investment, which is perfectly fine. But I think it is very important for a company to build a very, very strong and relevant brand, and especially when you're operating in a multi-country, multi-geography environment, that relevance piece differs from country to country and geography to geography. So, and that foundation is extremely important, because that is what builds long-term trust and loyalty in your customer and prospect base. So really important. And for SAP in India, we try to kind of root this narrative into customer success. So basically, you will see us talking about how we are helping our customers to serve their customers, and in the process, helping them change India for better. Okay. Unfortunately, I will probably drop that link in the chat here, or share it with the Times Pro team. I think it will be good for you to look at this short AV that we created for our 25 years in India, which talks about multiple sectors, how they have changed in less than 3 minutes, and how they have undergone transformational change over the last 2.5 decades, and the role that SAP and SAP's customers have played in that role. So the snapshot that you see is actually from that film. So I'll share that. I think it'll be good to look at. It's in my personal opinion, I shouldn't be saying this, but I I think it's one of the better pieces of corporate brand building that that I have seen myself. Okay, the second piece, as I said, demand generation. Sorry, don't get intimidated by this. I just wanted to tell you how we do it. And I would think many large companies in the enterprise software space would follow the same model, right? So essentially, like I said, the revenue impact or the pipeline that you create is the single most KPI in B2B tech marketing. And essentially what we do is we look at whatever the revenue goal is for a specific industry or for a specific solution area, and then basically try to kind of identify certain sales plays. Okay, now a typical sales plays is basically a significant pocket of opportunity that exists in the marketplace. Okay, and and then against each of these sales plays, we will try and assign a certain revenue potential, okay, which will kind of distribute the sales goal across 3, 4, 5, 6 different sales plays. And then typically you would take a 4x. So if you have to sell X, you have to get 4x of pipeline. And that varies from company to company, business to business. In our company itself, it would vary from geography to geography. But we would take a 4x there, and then of course, and then look at what are the marketing tactics that need to be deployed in each of these sales force, and these tactics could be 1, 2, 3, could be many more than 3, depending on how big that play itself is, and that's how the execution is done. Okay. And unless you have identified where that potential can be fulfilled from in the form of sales plays, it's very difficult to build a marketing plan. So very important that marketing, especially B2B tech marketers, work very closely with business leaders to understand their business plans, and the sales plays where the magic lies, because that's where a lot of data, a lot of outside insights and information are needed to see what is the potential for your solutions and products in that significant pocket of opportunity. Okay, here are some demand generation tactics, okay, that we deploy. Of course, there has been a significant shift uh, since 2020, because we had almost 1.5 years of no physical contact with our customer bases. There is a little bit of a pent up demand for in-person events, and these seem to be back, at least in our business, in a significant fashion. And if you look at our marketing mix, you will see about 70 to 75% of our demand generation actually happens through um, different kinds of events. Okay, these could be large format, uh, experiential, come conference, come expo kind of experiences. But the other, of course, and then there are much more focused, smaller, focus group kind of events which we run with partners throughout the year. So in-person events, I think, and we just concluded one of the largest annual events that we hadn't actually hosted for a long time in Mumbai last week, called SAP Now, which had about 2,000 odd attendees from our customer and prospect bases. And I think the highlight there was the experiential aspect of that event, where we had different zones for different solution areas and allowed customers to engage with interactive demos, experience, get a touch and feel of how a solution works, and also gave them opportunity to attend breakout tracks dedicated to the solution area of their choice. Okay. The second one is experiential marketing. Again, as I said, in our business, customers really want to get a feel of how a solution works. And last year, for instance, we had a majorly successful initiative called the SAP Transformation Express, which was basically a mobile experience center, which had a lot of our solutions which are tailored for the mid market, traveling to 13 cities, covering about 5,000 miles, going to specific customers. And then there were, so while it was, the centerpiece of that campaign really was that experience center, which was a traveling experience center. But it was much more than that, because it was a fully integrated campaign which relied very heavily on digital, for instance, to create excitement in the city that it was going to, and of course a lot of earned media that was created as a result of it, and tremendous amount of social buzz. And like I mentioned, the most important KPI, it created record breaking demand creation as well in the mid market for us. So clearly it was timed very well, because the COVID lockdowns had just gotten over, and it was really lapped up very well with our customer and prospect bases. Another interesting initiative that we are actually currently running is called the HXM verse, which is where we have created uh, uh, an experience zone in the metaverse for our HR solutions. So you actually can go in, you can attend an event, you can look at customer success stories from from 30, 40 different customers. You can experience the solutions in the in the virtual mode. You can actually attend a meeting in that in the metaverse. So these are some interesting things that we do, essentially because you have to keep differentiating yourself in a really cluttered market space. So it's very important that we, if even if you're doing experiential or physical events or whatever else, the packaging and the content that you deliver is extremely important, because the attention spans and the entire buying journey has fundamentally changed. So unless you are delivering something new to customers, they don't turn up, or they and especially with virtual events, the exit barriers have become really low, right? So your content has to be extremely relevant. and it has to be designed for that medium, which basically means you cannot replicate a physical event in a virtual format, because that whole paradigm is completely different. The other one tactic, of course, in B2B marketing, B2B tech marketing, the voice of the customer, which basically means your customers becoming your brand ambassadors, is a very, very important tool, and we leverage that very, very effectively. So, whether it is featuring your customers as speakers in your events, whether it is building videos and success stories, which not only is used as reference material by their peer group, it is also a way to kind of recognize the success of their investment in SAP. Okay, let me move on. Yeah, community marketing. Yeah, that's another important tactic that we use. We, in fact, for the mid-market, we have built a community which is called the Growth Matters Forum, which today has about 50,000 members, a large number of business owners from within the SME community. And when we say SME, for us, it is more of ME, because for companies to invest in SAP, you need a certain critical mass and you need a certain complexity to your business for making that investment. So essentially, when I say SME, it essentially means companies starting from a 300 crore, 400 crore revenue to till about 2,000 crores of revenue. So this community itself has been an extremely important success, and a lot of our success in the mid market is also can be all attributed to this community, where there is a lot of engagement, a lot of learning, peer group best practice sharing, and also there is a need to have mentors. I don't quite recall what the name is, but it's a mentorship program where about 20 existing customers have decided to become mentors, that other peer group companies who are on the fence as far as investing in SAP is concerned, to kind of offer them calls that they might encounter during their journeys. So I think if building a community is not difficult, but keeping it going is really, really difficult, because to continue the levels of engagement, there is a lot of time, cost that needs to be invested to continue to build content. But thankfully for us, this seems to have been working. So I thought I'd share it. And of course, like I mentioned, there is a significant shift in terms of our marketing mix towards digital demand programs. So there are several 100% digital programs that are continuously running around specific solution areas, which are essentially designed to drive inbound opportunities into our system. Involve a lot of content. It involves search marketing, reasonable amount of paid marketing, and then typically ending with a telemarketing input, and in some cases ending with a webinar. Okay, so those are things that we typically use as tactics. ABM, yes, ABM is a much used term in our business. Given that in our business, I think about 60% of our business comes from our existing customers, where we upsell or cross-sell. Account-based marketing is a very, very important tool, especially when we are talking at the top end of the pyramid as far as our customers are concerned. So again, that's another important tactic that we use. Yeah, the third KPI that I mentioned was customer success, and like I said, in the cloud world, it is easy to acquire customers, but very difficult to retain them. And unless you are delivering on your promise of the value that you were supposed to deliver, there will be churn in your business, right? So marketing has a tremendous role because while there are many other people involved in ensuring that value is delivered and the customer is successful, but one of the aspects is celebrating every step of the customer journey from a project kickoff to project go lives, which becomes like a celebratory moment for the customer. And like I mentioned earlier, featuring their stories, inviting them to platform where they can tell their stories is an important aspect of that entire journey towards customer success. Um, and another important thing that we've been doing for almost 16 years now is something that we call the SAP ACE Awards. This is probably the only um, uh, vendor-run customer recognition program, and it is highly coveted, where we actually solicit nominations from our customers who have implemented solutions in the last 18 months for this award. And clearly, this is probably one of the most unique customer recognition platforms in the industry today, which actually celebrates customer success. Okay, since a lot of people keep asking, what are the skill sets that we look at when we're looking at talent in B2B marketing. While there are tons of new tech skills that you can acquire, I think that ability has to be there for you to continuously reinvent yourself with the latest, because marketing is really the headlights for the business, right? We are supposed to be the leading indicators and not the lagging indicators. So it's important that that any new skill that is required, that is a mindset which every marketer should have. But in my book, I think customer focus is probably the single most important skill set and attitude that I expect from any marketer in this business, because unless you understand your customers' pain points, and it is like a cliche to say this, but I really mean it when I say this. If you don't understand your customer's business, you cannot market to that customer or that customer set. Okay. The second skill, in my opinion, is leadership, and leadership, especially, and I say this in the context of large matrix organizations like ours, but it is true even if you work for a startup, let's say in a SaaS business. Your ability to sell your idea and to convince people and take them along without having any reporting hierarchy with them, I think is a very, very important skill. And in my experience, I've seen talent that had, all the tech skills, all the creativity, but if you don't have that leadership skill to be able to take people along, you will not be successful. And that comes in very, very handy when you're made in charge of a large project to manage. So very important skill. Data and analytics, yes, everybody knows there is no, at least the way the whole customer landscape, the buying journey has evolved. People want more self-service. Unless you have the ability to read data, convert that data into insights, and convert those insights into actions, because like I said, that sales play that I spoke about is all about data and analytics. If you don't have a knack for it, very difficult to succeed in B2B marketing. Creativity, again, and again, when I say creativity, is people assume it is about music and creating great ads and stuff like that. In my opinion, it is about having the ability to connect the dots and to be able to solve problems in new ways, okay, not in the same cookie cutter fashion. And that is one of the great advantages of the great rewards of working in marketing, because it allows you to experiment. And I am a huge fan of the ability to bring creativity to solve problems, even in B2B scenarios. The last one is, of course, digital and social. Yeah, there is no guessing that. And you absolutely have to stay at the cutting edge of marketing technologies, whether it is performance marketing, which is really about delivering outcome, being accountable for the rupees, dollars, euros, whatever you spend, to link it back to the spend. And of course, things like SEO, which continue to evolve all the time. And I personally believe experiential marketing, which in our context would mean, giving your customers an opportunity to experience your solutions in the virtual space or the physical space, is a skill, and to be able to do it in different fashions, making it contextual for the customer's business or customer's industry is extremely critical. Okay, I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation. This is something that I really like. I personally believe even whether it is consumer marketing or business to business marketing, at the end of the day, you are transacting with a human at the other end. And I think in a lot of times the emotional aspect of that transaction is really underplayed in our business. I see this as a continuum where you start off with doing stuff which will create some mind share for your brand or your product or your company, and over a period of time you will probably earn a share of the wallet of the customer, which means you get some market share. But at the top end of this continuum is the what I call the share of the heart. Okay, so you are actually moving down that continuum, starting with a very tactical and a transactional relationship to moving the customer to a place where you become a strategic trusted advisor, and the customer actually turns into an ambassador for your product, for your brand, for your company. So if you start looking at every campaign that you run, are you at least trying to walk that path of this continuum? I think you will be creating long-term success in terms of loyalty from your customer base. Okay, and this is probably I don't know if I'm not able to move my slides now. So okay, this is, I just wanted to leave all of you with this thing. This is one of my favorite tools, which is in continuation to what I just said. There is this very interesting customer value map that Bain, and you can search for it, or I'll probably drop a link. You can refer to it. This is basically very similar to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, except that it is in the context of customer value. So if you see at the bottom of this pyramid will be very basic sets of values that are delivered in a transaction, right, in a relationship. And these are, things like price, you're meeting some regulatory compliance requirements, you're meeting the ethical standards that the customer has. And then the level above is what you call functional values, or actually all of this is actually functional value, where you're saying you will, this is delivering on the promise. Essentially, you're saying you will help you improve your profitability if you deploy this solution. We will cut down your inventory costs. The quality of your products will improve. You will have the ability to innovate if you were to move to my solution, etc., etc. That's functional value. And then you move up the value chain. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you will see as you move up this pyramid, you will start looking at things like individual value that you deliver to the persona that you're dealing with. Okay, so things like, are you helping him build his reputation? Okay, him or her. Are you improving his marketability? For instance, if there are lots of CIOs in the country who have built their careers implementing SAP, right? Are we helping them market themselves, for instance? Okay, and those are values that become very important when you're building long-term relationships, right? So please look at. I would recommend please refer to this, read it in a little more detail, and see how you can deploy this in your campaigns or programs that you deploy. because I personally at least try to look at it from this lens whenever there is a large program or campaign that we are trying to create. Okay. So that I think is my last slide. I will leave it at this, and if there are questions, I will take it towards the end. Dr. Chaudhary, all yours.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate. I think it's a big canvas, especially although you presented from the point of view to be marketing, but I'm sure there are quite a few insights for other marketing tactics as well. Now, let me invite Neha to take us through a very interesting set of questions. And then, depending on the time, then we'll go to the participant. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks, Rahul. Firstly, I'm sure all the participants had an insightful discussion. I know I enjoyed
I
the.
hope I I hope I made sense.
No, I'm pretty sure, and it's not just tech marketing. I think any B2B marketer will
Yes,
make and will take something out of this. So thank you so much for that. Rahul, I have a few questions. If we can go through them, and then we can probably take some of the audience questions as well.
sure.
So, I mean, obviously, we all know India is going through a digital transformation. A lot of companies are going through a digital transformation. So, where do you see SAP playing a role there? Where do you see it fitting it into this entire landscape at a country level?
So, like I mentioned, Neha, I think SAP has always been in the business of we are basically the one of the largest enterprise software providers, and the solutions that we bring to the market are essentially designed to improve efficiencies within those organizations and across functions, right? And also give them this ability to be agile, resilient. And we saw what happened during COVID, right? People, and a lot of the buoyancy that you see in this market is also because people are investing heavily to prevent those situations from happening in the future, right? I mean, you cannot prevent COVID from happening, but COVID-like scenarios where supply chains got disrupted continue to stay disrupted, right? So how do we build resilience around that area? So that's exactly what we do. I mean, we basically help our customers, whether um, they are in the digital native startup space, or they are large multi-million dollar conglomerates. And the whole nature of our business is to help them, uh, as for starters, automate, um, build efficiencies, and then continue to innovate for the future. So that's what we do, and that's what we will continue to do. And the other thing, just want to give you another example. For instance, if you look at India, India has probably one of the largest logistics costs in the world. I think it's in the 15-16. Basically, if you sell a 100 rupee product, and I may be slightly wrong in terms of numbers, but it definitely is the highest percentage that goes into the moving your product from one place to another, right? That's a supply chain problem, and that's the kind of problem our solutions are designed to solve. Okay, whether it is businesses trying to improve their supply chains, or third party logistics providers building new businesses around smart logistics. That's what we do. And if we are able to cut that cost down from 15 to 7%, we are talking about pure bottom line, pure competitiveness for our businesses.
Right, right. So thanks, Rahul. I think building efficiencies and I think moving from being reactive to being a lot more prepared, a lot more
Yes,
agile is what I understand from you.
yes.
Another question, I mean, the world has started talking about cloud. I mean, not started talking about cloud. I think the entire world is on cloud now. So, since it's gained immense traction in the last few years in transforming businesses, where do you see SAP is playing in that segment, and how critical do you think that segment is for a business growth and as well as to the growth of the economy?
So like I mentioned, right, I mean, it is as important as some of the revolutions that I touched upon, right? From the green revolution to the white revolution, then the internet arrived, then the mobile telephony revolution happened. I think we are in the midst of one of the most game-changing revolutions, which is really cloud. And when we say cloud, it means many different things for different people, but essentially it is how software is delivered. So as compared to the previous era, which was largely on-premise, right, where customers would buy licenses, set it up on their own servers or data centers, and run it themselves, right? As opposed to that, we are talking about that software being hosted elsewhere, giving them the ease to bring about changes in their structures, make transformational changes on the fly, for instance, and more importantly, giving them flexibility to exit something and move on to something else. And I think the biggest thing that has happened is you are always at the latest instance of the software, right? You're not getting a patch or you have to upgrade your system. So, so you're on the latest, you're always on the latest version of the software. And the other thing which I mentioned while I spoke earlier was that I see it as a great leveler, right? I mean, for a mid-market, as a small company, they are using the same SAP software or a Microsoft software that a large conglomerate would be using. So in that sense, it's a great leveler. It's kind of democratized enterprise software in many ways. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we are talking about Chat GPT, which is another great leveler.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah,
We'll see how that one goes. It's early days.
yeah, early days. But
There are a
yes,
lot of scary stories as well, but we'll see.
absolutely.
But clearly, again, a huge transformational opportunity.
Absolutely. So, similar to what you mentioned for cloud, SaaS companies, and especially in tech, there's been an outburst of SaaS companies. SAP is probably like at the peak of that. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you think SaaS companies can help in this transformation? I mean,
So, so
and again, from both sides, I'd like to understand. So there is obviously the company side, I mean, the software development side of it, and the consumer side of it. So yeah.
there was this very powerful McKinsey report. Okay, I think about a year or two back, which said the SaaS revolution in India, which means all of these startups who are building software products, right? I think, or they think that it will be as big or bigger than the IT enabled services revolution that India saw, right, at the beginning of or end of the previous millennium and the 2000s and stuff, right? So all these large software services providers that you see who really built a huge brand for India as a uh, tech heavy country. The prediction is that it will be much bigger than that. Okay, the impact it will create, and why they're saying that is they're saying it will create more jobs than it created for the IT and IT enabled services in India. But the best part is that if we are not talking about services here, right? We are talking about products. Um, so the whole idea is that Indian made software products would be consumed by the rest of the world, okay, which is massive, and many of these companies will become huge companies over the next few years. And the other good thing is, unlike services business or other IT businesses, SaaS companies tend to scale up very, very quickly, right? We are well, some of them may actually be our competitors, but having said that, if you take a larger view, I think it will be a massive revolution in India from two counts. Like I said, one is India becoming a product and a solution or a software product provider, and not just a services provider, and the kind of employment opportunities that this revolution will create.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I just have one last question before we move on to audience questions. I mean, we obviously represent Times Pro, and we are also a platform, a higher ed platform. How do you think players like Times Pro and SAP can partner to help in the skilling uh, of for this uh, I mean for this domain, and overall add to the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we keep hearing about this huge uh, demographic dividend that India has, right? We are the youngest nation in the world. We'll provide the workforce to the world. We are the talent hub, the IT talent hub of the world, etc., etc. And we are expected to hold this dividend till I think 2050 or till 2060. We will remain the youngest or something of that sort, right? But the real challenge is while you will have that workforce, there is a huge skill gap, right? The world, especially in the technology space, is changing so fast. Unless you are reskilling people, you will have nothing. It will actually create more problems for India than solutions. So we need to clearly fill that gap, and I think initiatives that Times Pro has, SAP itself has a program called Code Unnati, where we work with. In fact, we work with some of our partners like Mahindra in the past and L&T, etc., to train people in specific skills. And so far, we've told, and obviously it works in different fashion. I don't want to spend time on it, but clearly that is a huge challenge for India to address, and companies like ours, and of course the edtech efforts that you make will be critical to address that. But the scale of the challenge is really huge.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Times Pro has been partnering with SAP over a few years for trainings within colleges, within government organizations, etc. So,
Yeah.
I think it's about scaling that to another level. So,
Yeah, because see, this is like predicting what skills will be required, because it's changing so fast. Every day you have something new coming. You don't know what will become big, but at least based on a certain forecast, you will definitely need a large number of trained, highly skilled, trained resources if we really have to capture that dividend.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rahul, for answering my questions. And over to you, Dr. Chaudhary.
Thank you, Neha. And
Yeah.
there are quite a few questions, Rahul, but depending on the time, let me just go ahead with a few of them.
So,
And first one actually is from Mr. Akash, and Akash Vadankar. Although it is the last, but then I'm taking it up fast with everybody's permission. His question is, hi, Rahul, we are data and AI organization. We are a small scale organization, maybe 1,000 employees and $50 million. But we wish to grow inorganically by acquiring more customers for data and AI and become 100, 5,000, 500 million organization. We are struggling to onboard more clients. Any piece of advice for such growth journey from being like 50 million to touch another 100 million? Thank you, Akash. I'm sure that should happen very soon with advice from Rahul. Go, Rahul, over to you.
I wish I had a one point advice for you, because if I had all the answers, I wouldn't be sitting here, right? Would be consulting you, right? But yeah, but there are examples of companies that have grown organically, and I I don't know whether I should be naming them. There are companies in the software space, like Zoho, for instance, largely becoming a huge force. Uh, 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 at least in the initial years, very organically. There are players like Zerodha, which are cited very frequently, right? So clearly, if you are able to, like I said, in this space, if you are in a B2B space, of course, your existing customer base has to become your ambassadors, right? And that's the only way to organically grow a B2B space. So if you have existing successes in different geographies, you'll have to figure out a way to kind of promote them extensively. And I assume when you mean organically, you mean without spending money, right? So yeah, so I don't know if there is 100% answer to this, but clearly the route is, if you already have X number of customers, so clearly there is, if you make them successful, tell their stories organically, I think it is bound. Whether it will become 500 million or whatever number you said, I don't know, but clearly that's one route to take.
Thank you, Rahul. I'm sure, Akash, you must have got that sagely advice from Rahul. Let me move on to the next question from Mr. Abhishek Kumar. His question is, how do we align sales and marketing around account-based marketing?
Absolutely. I think account-based marketing without that collaboration is not possible, in my opinion. Okay, because like I mentioned, um, it starts with first identifying who you want to target within. And in my version of account-based marketing is slightly different in the sense that we know there are these 50 accounts that we want to to target, and in that kind of, and most of those accounts in our cases are managed accounts, so they're managed by certain people because they are large existing customers which you are trying to well, something that we call land and expand kind of a strategy. So it works slightly differently. But if you're talking about an intent-based model as well, where you are actually looking at a certain set of accounts in terms of what they're consuming, and then you figure out what kind of activity, what you want to do with them. Either ways, unless you engage with your business stakeholders, uh, that whole process, because in B2B, at least in my experience, even if you were to create an opportunity, there has to be a catcher at the other end to take that engagement forward, which essentially is the sales organization. So if you are not able to establish that collaboration, an ABM exercise cannot succeed.
Rahul, there are two questions actually from Mrs. Swapnil.
Sure.
First question is what percentage of revenue should be spent on regular services and for new geographies? And second, can you please help with how to calculate CLV and ROI in marketing? And I mean the first one, yeah, I mean the percent revenue spent on marketing for a services company. Thank you, Swapnil.
I don't know whether I will be able to. I can only tell you, so, those metrics obviously vary from business to business, and services is a very different kind of business. But I can tell you, uh, we typically look at a 30x return on investment. Okay, which basically means if I spend a dollar or a rupee, I need a 30x outcome in terms of pipeline. Okay, so that's the benchmark we follow, and I really cannot give you a percentage spend of revenue to be deployed, honestly, because again it varies from, even within the software business it would vary from business to business, right? So obviously, but I've seen as high as 3 to 4% in certain businesses.
Thank you, Rahul. And this is the question. Actually, again, two questions from Mr. Durga Prasad Branwal. And his first question is who can pursue tech marketing? That one. And the second one is can you please share the adaptability of SAP in supply chain management, in inventory management, or transportation management? Thank you, Mr. Durga Prasad.
Well, the second part of the question is a very specialized question, so I don't know. I'm okay if I'm okay to share my email IDs, and you can write to me, and I can get you more information on the supply chain management, the transportation management piece. The first, sorry, Dr. Chaudhary, I missed the first part. I forgot the first part of the question.
Who can pursue tech marketing?
Who can take up tech marketing? I think anybody can
pursue tech marketing. Yeah.
I think anybody can take up tech marketing. Like I mentioned, the skill sets are really, as long as you have strong customer focus, which means you are passionate about understanding your customers' pain points and customers, getting into their shoes every time. I think that's probably the first skill set that you need. I personally believe you don't need a highly specialized training to become a tech marketer, but having those, basic sets of skills, as well as the mindset and the attitude, I'm happy to share my PDF of my deck with the audience as well, so you can take a quick look. But as I said, anybody can take up, just like anybody can become a coder today, anybody can become a tech marketer as well, as long as you have the focus and the passion for it.
Thank you, Rahul. This is the last question for today evening, and this is from Mr. CM Nanjappa. And his question is, how important is telemarketing for last mile connectivity for marketers to put life to everything they do and ensure tofu, mofu leads get acted on from the multi-level marketing activities they run in the B2B space. Thank you, Mr. Nanjappa.
Yep. In my personal opinion, it has been a very, very important contributor to the entire demand creation cycle, especially in the last mile, because, like I said, the last mile qualification of those opportunities before, or those leads before they are handed over to sales for conversion into opportunity and, valuation of those opportunities. I think tele plays a huge, huge role in that process. Okay, even today, of course, a lot of that is getting automated. A lot of marketing automation tools do a lot of scoring already, right? So the role of the tele qualification piece is diminishing over a period of time, but at least I have seen in the last 3-4 years here that it's a very, very important cog in the wheel. Especially when it comes to the last mile.
Thank you, Rahul, for wonderful time, and we already passed, 6 minutes past the scheduled time. But thank you so much for your time, especially on Saturday evening. And sorry for extending the time, but it was absolutely a pleasure hosting you, along with Neham, for a wonderful chat as well. But from all of us at Times Pro, as well as from all of our participants, thank you so much for I think, like I was telling you, the canvas is too big. I think the what's coming up from you is almost 3 decades of experience, right? But I'm sure that also has seen a lot of marketing in the last the 3 decades. And of course, future is anybody's guess. But from all of us, once again, thank you so much, Rahul, and look forward to hosting you once again soon, or maybe a next avatar of a tech marketing tool in the months, 20 years to come. Thank you so
Sure.
much from all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha.
So much.
Thank you,
Really
Neha.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr.
for-
Chaudhary. Thank you,
and thank
Rahul.
you all the audience
Thank you.
for being patient listeners on a Saturday evening. You can claim your life back now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.